Alrighty, so here we are back with Sadie, and this is part 2 of her Trunner number 6. I decided to bring out the long lead and practice recall. We did it in the soccer field, and I want to make sure that here she gets some freedom. But before we give the freedom, you always want to get a check-in, which is the eye contact, and then I start practicing the recall. There was a lot of dogs out and just distractions in general. So in the beginning, it was a little difficult for her to come back to me. But as we practiced, she started understanding, okay, it's actually not bad. I'll interact with you. You'll keep me engaged. And it's all about timing, right? What we want, we should reward. And what we don't want, we should redirect or correct if it's too stimulating. So in this case, she's distracted by two dogs, and I'm trying to redirect her back to me, and then I give her a free after she looks at me. Then I start practicing the recall. The way that I practice recall is adding leash pressure first, and then I call her. So the main thing is the leash pressure, come, and then making sure she comes all the way into the sit, focus, and then you reward with the good or the yes to mark it. And we're going to see it in a bit, but I do the get it and then recall. Notice how she just flies by, and I'm like, nope, you can't do that. That's not what I'm asking for, so we're going to try it again. And I do the get it, and then I recall her with the leash pressure again. So leash pressure, leash pressure, leash pressure. Sadie, come. Oh, sorry. I guess her sniffer didn't work on that one. But once she does do it, here we go.
Missed it again.
She's about to find it. And there it is. Cool. So now I do the recall come. It was a little bit better, but she still went a little bit to my side, so I grabbed the leash and put her back into the sit, and that's when I marked it. We're going to try again. We're going to do the sit, focus, and then I do a let's go from the sit so that she can get used to going from one command to the next. You want to make sure you still keep that eye contact. Like right here, she's just looking around, so you can use a little bit of that leash pressure to guide her back. When she looks, that's when I do the next one, sit into a let's go, and I reward once we start walking. So basically all these things that I'm doing is supposed to be broken down already. Like none of this is new for her. It's a matter of practicing it daily and making sure she doesn't get away with ignoring any of the commands. So here, look how I added distance while she was distracted. And then I said, Sadie, this way. And then she came in the area, right? I added a little leash pressure if she started getting too fixated. But I want her to just be very responsive to all the commands, markers that we're doing. So that if we want off leash eventually, we know she knows it. And it's a matter of just following through with that specific behavior. So here I gave her a down, and before I rewarded, I wanted that eye contact. She was doing this little, I don't know, sassiness that she usually does, and then I got it. So that's when I rewarded her. Had a little party with the spin. Yeah. So the long lead will help in giving some more distance. Obviously, the 6-foot leash does help because it's 6 foot, but the 15 to 20 foot leash will be more beneficial because you can extend yourself, you can add more distance. The only thing is the handling part. Like you guys need to get used to kind of reeling it in and then letting it go and then reeling it back in. And it's a matter of just doing it, right? Once we get a handle of doing it with the long lead, then that's when I mentioned we can potentially bring out the e-collar to associate the same command, and then the long lead is still going to be on, but it's not going to be used as much because we will associate the stim from the e-collar with the stim from the leash. And
Focus.
yeah, that's its own process. But here,
I'll take it for now.
what I want her to do is start staying on a sit and then being on a sit, still looking for my direction. So right here, she keeps adjusting herself, and I'm like, no, you just need to stay seated, but you can turn your head and face me, like right there, and then I mark. That is where, even though you put your dog on a sit or put your dog on a down, and you move around, they're going to still be looking for you and stay on that position. So just because you're gone doesn't mean that they can get off, but they can still look for your guidance. So by this time, she's doing a better recall, but then she starts avoiding it and is like, I don't want to do this stuff. And so I do one last good one, and then I give her a break, and we just do something else. But most of the time, she could do maybe like a good 5 to 10 minute session, and then she wants to check out. So I would say put a timer, 5 minutes, give her a break, maybe 2 minutes to just do whatever she wants to do, so long as it's acceptable in your eyes and she's not pulling you guys. But what I do is I just started walking, and she's on a free, so she doesn't necessarily need to be next to me. But because I was very engaging in that training session, then now she's like, oh, okay, like you were actually pretty fun, like let's do something else. And I'm telling her, okay, we're gonna be walking, and if I turn, you turn. And this is no leash. I mean, no treats, just the leash. And even then, I'm using very minimal leash pressure. I want her to just follow my presence. And that is how it needs to be with both of you, which we'll do on Sunday during our private. But I want to make sure that she understands the way that we're communicating to her. And there are some moments when she gets a little neurotic and wants to do the zoomies. But we'll talk about that when it gets there. I personally don't like zoomies, not because I don't want the dog to be free. It's more of I don't like the zoomies when the dog does it on their own. So they made the choice to do the zoomies, which means that they took control of the play, and it's going to be a lot more difficult to calm them down. But if you tell them, all right, go play, be free, because you know that it's safe to go run and be crazy, then that's totally fine. You gave the okay. But if they're giving the okay on their own, then that is the problem because they just took the leadership position. Same thing with playing with toys. Same thing with chewing on certain things that they're not supposed to. Or maybe they are supposed to, but you just give it to them and they can decide when they want to chew and when they don't want to chew. Those things are iffy, I will say. It just depends on the dog, their temperament. But right here, I've just been practicing this way and turning. Every time I turn, she would follow that direction, and then I say this way again, and then we turn again, and she's like, okay, cool, yeah, I kind of like being with you. And that's basic training right now. Eventually, you do the quick recall while she's off guard. You can add the leash pressure. The freedom is going to be rewards, and you practice again, and then again, and then do it again, and then you're going to start trusting that she will actually do that behavior. And if she doesn't do it, then the best thing you can do is just grab the leash and reinforce it. Take that freedom away because she ignored the command, and she knows that the consequence is losing the freedom. So we're trying to be nice. Oh, here's the zoomies. So notice how the leash pressure stops her from continuing, and I'm also adding my body weight against where she's pulling. So if she's pulling to my right, I'm pulling to the left, and I'm just waiting for that moment that the leash pressure tightens, and then it would mostly be all on her. And notice how she shook it off, and she's like, oh shoot, I guess I can't do that with Daniel. And like I said, it's a little neurotic, and if we don't control it, then it's going to be harder to control her. So by understanding how to stop it and prevent it is the best thing. Well, what was I going to say? Yeah, we can be nice to her and, call her once, call her twice. But if there's no follow through after those twice, that second time, then she's going to think she can get away with those things. And now we have a problem where she's ignoring all the commands, all the markers, and just decides, I want to do whatever I want to do. So by taking away the freedom, if she ignores things, by taking away the freedom, she understands, I I'm not in control, actually. It's one of my handlers. right? And that's the important thing to know. Don't just assume we've practiced this, she knows it. This is where she's an animal and her animal instincts could always kick in. So taking those measures of, oh, okay, you think you're your own boss, I'm gonna take your freedom away. And that's it. Very simple, no frustration needed. All right, quick test. Yep. On her going ahead in the stairs. So in the previous video, we were outside in the field. You're gonna see her do her stuff. And every time she went ahead, I kind of just kept her from continuing ahead. Good. Sadie. She's sneaky, because look at that little glance that she's giving. Eventually, I need her to hold it longer, because she's getting smarter as we increase the difficulty of things. She's like, I just need to do it for a second. I guess I'll do it for the sake of the training, but not for the leadership. Like right here, look, she's fighting the leash pressure. This way, Sadie. She shouldn't be fighting it. So if she's still doing it, she's still doing it at inside or when you're heading upstairs or anything like that, you gotta make sure to follow through. And so yeah, look right here, she's fighting it again. Come on, come on, come on. Easy. And so these are the subtle things that I noticed from her, right? Right here, she's trying to race me. She's trying to beat me. And I'm like, what if I want to go all the way upstairs though? You know, what if we're just gonna stop? You need to be ready for all those things. So these are the exercises I do with her sometimes. I just don't want her to get used to that routine. So remember what I said, break the routine, break the habit. Make sure you have that correction. Like right here, I correct her all the way until she's behind me and the paws are back, but she's trying to go around me. So all those things we can see, but sometimes there's no definition that we have for them.